Today I'm going to show you how to work wrap and turn short rows in Brioche rib. We are going to have a look at the mechanics and how your fabric is going to behave with the short rows integrated. We are going to look at where to use them, and of course then we are going to dive into how to actually work them. I'm going to put timestamps down below, so if you want to skip any parts, just go ahead. This is a cardigan pattern that is going to be released later this fall. It has a big shawl collar, which is going to be constructed with short rows. The way you are working is you're going to start picking up your stitches. You work a couple of rows in pattern, and then you work in pattern all the way to where the pattern tells you to place your first wrap and turn. Then you go to the wrong side of the fabric, work all the way back to where your short rows are supposed to end, do your wrap and turn, go back. In this case, the pattern calls for 4 stitches before the last wrap and turn, so that's where you place your second. And this is how you work it all the time. You basically just go back and forth until you've wrapped the number of stitches your pattern calls for. In this case, they're going to meet at the center neck, and they are creating a wedge, as you can see here. Now I've wanted this collar to be larger, which is why I'm working 2 sets of short rows. The first one ended here. I placed a lifeline, so this is the first wedge, and the second one is here, because that is essentially what you are going to do if you're working short rows. You're placing a wedge inside your fabric, so you're adding length to your fabric but not width. Now this can be very useful, not just for your collars, but also if you're working hats and you want to work an ear flap. You can raise the back neck of your sweater. You can use them in the shoulder shaping, because our shoulders are not like this as some schematics would like us to believe, but they actually have a tilt to them. So adding a couple of short rows in this place can actually improve your fit for your garment a lot. Then you've got bust darts, where you would place them between your apex points at the fullest point of your bust to add some extra fabric to cover those. If you've got large boobies, because you actually don't need a wider jumper, you just need some more fabric so that the front of your jumper doesn't ride up. You add a wedge of fabric just here to cover that area so that the hem is going to stay at the same place as the back hem. The other place where you can use that in the same manner is to cover up a soft tummy or a pregnancy belly. You would just add those short rows a little bit lower, and the principle is the same, as so that your jumper doesn't ride up, or that you don't have to actually add a lot of width, and then at the front of your belly you have a lot of fabric flapping around because the garment is way too wide. Now let's have a look at how to actually work those short rows. Let's get into the thick of things. I am almost done with this short row section. I only have 4 more stitches to wrap. But the principle is the same, even if you just get started. We are working on the right side of the fabric. Let me show you what our wrapped stitches look like. There you can see this is our wrap. And all of the wrapped stitches are worked on a brioche knit column. And what makes working wrap and turn short rows simpler in this pattern is that the back of the fabric, the wrong side, is worked in the same manner. You've got your slip-on yarn over brioche knit, and your wrapped stitches are all on a brioche knit column. So you work up to the place where you are supposed to work your next wrap. In this case it's 4 stitches before the last wrapped stitch. So the last stitch before your column is obviously a slip-on yarn over. You bring your yarn to the front, slip the stitch, both the yarn over and the stitch, make sure that you don't lose that, to the right hand needle, bring your yarn to the back, and and then place your stitch back to the left hand needle. That is all you do with it, you don't work it. You turn your fabric around. It's a bit clunky with a big garment. And then this is what it looks like. You bring your yarn to the back, brioche knit, slip one yarn over. You just work in pattern on the wrong side to where you need to make your next wrap. Again, we are ending on a slip-on yarn over. Bring the yarn to the front, slip the stitch and the yarn over to the right hand needle, bring the working yarn to the back, and place the stitch back on the left hand needle. And thus we have wrapped the wrong side stitch. And again, you turn your fabric around. There you have it. Since the next stitch is again a brioche knit stitch, bring your fabric to the back, brioche knit, slip one yarn over. I am finished wrapping all my stitches and we are ready to pick up and finish up the short row. I like to put in stitch markers where I placed my wraps just because it's easier to keep track of them, because next to the purl bumps it's easy to just overlook them. So to pick up, you are working to your wrapped stitch and then you take the tip of the right hand needle, go below that wrap into your stitch, both the stitch and the yarn over, so technically into 3 strands of yarn that you're on your needle. Then knit those 3 together and that's it. Let me show you again. Knit to your wrapped stitch, go below the wrap into the stitch and knit them together. I am at my last wrapped stitch. Once again, you go below the wrap into the stitch and knit those together, and then you just continue to work in pattern to the end of the row. We finished up picking up the wraps on the right side, so we are just turning over to the wrong side and work in pattern to our first wrapped stitch and then begin picking up those stitches too. I have worked all the way up to our first wrapped stitch on the wrong side, the same way that the wrap and turns are easy to work on both sides because the fabric is worked in the same way. It's the same with the pickups. So we are going beneath the wrap into the stitch and knit those 2 together just like we did on the right side of the fabric. Work to our next wrap, go under the wrap into the stitch and knit them together all the way until no more wrapped stitches are left. Just like on the right hand side, once you've wrapped the last stitch, you work in pattern to the end of the row. let's have another look at our fabric. Here is the original width of the button band as far as we've worked all the stitches before starting the short rows. And then just look at how much fabric has been added working the short rows. Now, once those are finished, you are going to continue working in pattern until you have the width of the button band or, you know, your garment. You just continue to work, but look at how big that shawl collar already is and how big it's going to be once you're going to wrap yourself in it. Now, if you're like me and you like to put your new techniques into practice, this is my opposite effects cloche hat. The flap on this hat is worked in wrap and turn short rows, just like you've been shown in this tutorial. I'm gonna put the link down below. It's available on Ravelry. If you like this tutorial, please like and share. Follow for more. I'll see you next time.